Okay, this is Rich Uzdowski. I'm here today with the Center for Middletown Studies High School Consolidation Oral History Project. And I'm here with James Johnson. He was nice enough to sit down and talk a little bit and give us his perspective, his thoughts and opinions on the consolidation that happened here recently in Muncie. So James, we're going to start off with you just saying your name so everybody listening could get that.
Hi, I'm James Johnson.
And a little bit more background. If you wouldn't mind saying your address, your age, and what you do, your occupation, hobbies, how you're involved in the community, anything like that.
I'm 47 years old. I live at 3508 South Beacon Street, Muncie, Indiana, on the south side of town. My wife and I attended Muncie Central High School. I'm an 85 graduate. She's a 78 graduate. I worked at Delaware Machine and Tool for 20 years in the automotive industry. And I didn't think I wanted my kids to go to the city school system. We purchased a home in Southwind Village, and that's where the kids would attend at Cowan. But at the decline of the automotive industry and the kind of the recession set in, I was unable to continue to live there. So we sold and moved to the south side of town where my kids attended the Muncie Community School System and went on to Southside, and where I had one graduate from Southside. She was the last graduating class from Southside, and I have one that's a senior at Muncie Central as we speak.
Okay, thank you. Rather than asking you the first question I have on this list, I have another question that just came to mind. So, you say you live on the south side of town, yet you're sitting here, you're wearing a Muncie Central swimming and diving sweatshirt. How does that feel?
It's bittersweet. My oldest, she would be disappointed in me because she's a true rebel. But my youngest, she's embraced it very well. She was nervous about the transition to Central, but as the transition became reality, she had apprehensions about it, but as she attended class and went on to school, she was embraced by the Central students very well. And like I said, her mom and I are both Central graduates, so it makes me kind of proud. I bleed purple.
Yeah.
So it has been a nice little transition.
Okay. I guess back to the planned questions. I'll give you the biggest and maybe the most important one right off the bat, and that's what are your thoughts and opinions on the high school consolidation, and have they changed since the decision was made?
At first, I was concerned. I mean, and still there is that little bit of well, first of all, let me say that both of my kids were, and I'm basing my opinions on kind of my experiences, obviously.
Sure.
And both my kids were athletes. And my youngest played my youngest played golf, swim, and tennis, and my oldest played volleyball, swim, and tennis.
So both three-sport athletes.
Yeah,
okay.
My oldest, her junior year, she just elected to swim and didn't proceed with volleyball and tennis. But my youngest has carried that over all 3 years at Southside and has continued it at Central. But my opinion on the consolidation was that some of the kids that maybe weren't as athletic as maybe, say, my daughters have been, I think that the consolidation of the schools will take away some of their chances to participate, and that kind of bothered me because I was an athlete, but I wasn't a star athlete. So those chances that a kid that's not as talented might have may not present itself in the consolidated school, being that there's more kids.
Sure.
And then also on the effect of I had a lot of friends and coaches at Southside that I was worried about their jobs. When the consolidation, were they going to have jobs? And I think it's worked out for all of them so far, but we'll see if that continues. But yeah, that's basically how I felt about it. The consolidation at first was, the leaving the kids that maybe aren't as good, letting them slip into not having something to do after school.
Definitely.
And allowing them to get into other things that maybe aren't as productive.
Sure. And
such as trouble.
Hey, you weren't the only person that said that. I mean, that when they were tossing around the idea about consolidation, like at the town hall meetings, there were several people who stood up and said there's going to be way less opportunities now.
Yeah, that's but on the other hand, it's gonna strengthen the athletics that the one school.
Sure.
I mean, you're gonna have more kids to select from.
As we saw, well, I guess not with athletics, but with music, we saw that with the band.
Yes.
Winning the state title. Yeah.
Yes. And that was also something that was pretty bittersweet. That
Why is that?
Southside, Southside was known for their band, their marching band, and their performances at the state meet, and to consolidate high schools, and not for say all the Southside kids going over there, but the combination of the group winning the state, that was pretty awesome.
Yeah, I agree. Do you feel like your voice was heard in the decision-making process?
Well, I didn't really voice my opinion, and I say that thinking that the decision was predetermined. I think that the town hall meetings and that stuff was to satisfy the public.
Okay.
I think that the decision was determined that it was going to be that way regardless. It was just a matter of when, and I think it was just a formality to have the town hall meetings and have the voices try to be heard, but knowing that it wasn't going to matter what anyone said. So
Where did you get that idea from? I mean, you're not the first person I've heard say that either, but where are you coming from with that?
I just think that it was, the decision had been made that financially that it needed to be done. And I don't understand all the financial business background of the consolidation. And but I just think based it on the financials that it was going to happen regardless of what anyone said. It's just from the talk around town and the people I had encountered, at athletic events, and just discuss them like that it was going to happen regardless.
Now, to get more specific, did you think that it was predetermined that they were going to consolidate into Central too? Or did you think there was a chance that they might consolidate and go to the Southside building?
I was hoping that if it was a consolidation, that they might go to Southside, being the fact that they just renovated and put a bunch of money into Southside. But I knew with the tradition of Muncie Central and the name and the location that they were going to acquire the Muncie Central building and maintain and keep it in there.
Well, you say tradition, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say that your daughter, who's a senior now, who went to Southside for 3 years, she must have had that Southside tradition ingrained in her. So there was some Southside tradition, or there was some tradition at Southside too.
Yes, there was. And I agree that Southside is definitely big, and I say I graduated from Central, but I also have 3 siblings, and they all graduated from Muncie Southside.
Wow.
And I graduated from Central. They didn't like that too well. Because
Yeah,
growing up, I lived on the border. I could choose either way I wanted to go. But yeah, Southside has a rich tradition, and I think sometimes Southside got a bad reputation that was maybe undeserving. I think it was just, stereotype. And to be honest, Southside was a very good school, and I was hoping that, I was really hoping it wouldn't happen. But since it did, we have to live with that and go forward. But yeah, there is a lot of Southside, and as you can, the people in the Southside town, the parents and the stuff that did attend the town hall meetings and stuff, they're very vocal.
Oh,
they're very, very vocal.
Yes.
I mean,
yes.
The Southside Rebels they're very well supported on the south side of town.
Yeah. Now, do you personally feel like you speak for a certain neighborhood or side of town? Because you live on the south side, but now your daughter goes to Muncie Central.
I grew up on the south side, so I would say I represent the South Central neighborhood area.
Okay.
Because I'm not totally south, but I'd say I represent the south side more than the north side.
Okay. Now, do you feel like that community identity, so you're saying you feel like you're a part of the South Central section of Muncie, does that community identity play a role in how you approach or approached consolidation?
Oh, I would, like I said, I really don't have the thought process of just the South Central North side. I would say that the consolidation I was hoping would, like I say, not happen, but since it did, I just represent the South Side, I guess, would be all I could say on that. As far as, because back when I was in school, there was 3 high schools. But
well, you keep saying that you wish it didn't happen, the consolidation. If there were 2 high schools still in town, let's just say, what did Southside High School mean to that side of town?
Oh, it was, that high school meant a lot to the south side of town as far as the tradition of the band, as we spoke of earlier, and the rivalry between Muncie Central and Muncie South in high school basketball. I relate everything to athletics, but I think that the people on the south side really embraced Southside and their band and their athletics, and I think it was a great school. I think that they had a great academic school. I don't think they were a failing school by no means.
Well, yeah, you said your older daughter got a scholarship to Indiana State.
Yeah, she graduated.
Southside
She
education.
graduated salutatorian.
Wow.
From Muncie Southside in 2014. So, it's provided her excellent academically, which transpired into a scholarship to Indiana State. So, their academics is top notch, I think, also.
Going more, well, I guess we haven't touched on the north side, south side divisions too much yet, have we? So maybe I'll open up with this question here. Do you think there is a north side, south side split in town?
Yeah, I think it's more like northwest, south side. I think it's more like a Yorktown kind of central, south kind of thing. As far as the north side being per se the more middle class, the more, I think, having more education, more better jobs, I guess, and the Southside having a reputation of being a little bit, I don't want to say poverty, but more lower middle class and less opportunities. But I think the Southside is more than the reputation sometimes. So I think there's a lot of job opportunities over there that I think there's more people over there that have education than is given credit for.
So the rap that the south side of town gets is undeserved a little bit?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. Now, that question was leading up to this one, and that is that several speakers at the town hall meetings expressed concern about the way the students from the two sides of town would interact when they all got together if there was consolidation. Where do you think that fear came from?
I think that fear came from the reputation of Southside having bad mannered children in the school system. Maybe for say the kids not having a home base with the two parents being present all the time, that might have instilled that thought into that these kids are going to not behave as well as maybe the existing kids. And I think they thought maybe combining those would create bad atmosphere.
Okay. Because there were some Southside parents too that spoke up and said that they were afraid the Southside kids would get bullied by the Central kids.
And that too being the case, speaking there on the same aspects of, the classes, maybe it's, I think sometimes it's interpreted that, and rightfully so, that there may be some kids from the south side that don't have as much as the kids from the north side due to economics. And thinking that they might get bullied for not having something or not being able to fit in as well as the other kids. But I don't think that's happened. I think from what my daughter talks about, I think the transition was a little bit rough at first.
What do you mean when you say rough?
As far as, I guess to clarify rough, I mean in that chaos. All so many people in one building, not knowing where to go, not knowing the building, the kids from the south side not really being acclimated to that facility. And, you went from 900 kids to 1,700 kids, and the halls being full, and I think that was more getting everyone settled in to where they needed to be and where they were going as far as, but I don't think there was any such fights that I heard of out of the ordinary or anything like that.
Okay. What role do you think a high school plays in a community's identity?
I think it defines the community's their tradition of, I relate it to athletics. Their how good they are in sports. Well, let me use the example of when you think of like Carmel or Fishers, you think of, upper echelon, the highest GPAs, well educated. And I think that's the identity that a school gives a community, how the kids come out and are going to be productive in society, their education, and the tradition of how they transpire into the community.
So you're saying that how a high school performs kind of says something about a community?
I think so.
Okay, so right now, what do you think Muncie Central says about Muncie?
I think Muncie Central represents Muncie very well.
Okay.
I really do. I think that I think we have great sportsmanship. I think our academics are good. I think you got kids going to all kinds of universities throughout the state and becoming excellent members of society and helping the community.
Now, you've touched on this already a couple of different times, but other than what you've already said, what effects do you think consolidation is having right now or might have in the future?
I think that when it's all said and when the kids that's transition from Southside to Central, my daughter being a senior, so she will exit.
Mm-hmm.
But you had what, 3 classes under her, well, 2 classes, I guess that'd be the freshman and sophomore, that transitioned over there also, and then the incoming freshman, which didn't know Southside. I think once those over the next 3 to 4 years, when those kids that had ties to Southside, I think once they transition through and graduate, I think that Muncie will embrace Muncie Central a lot stronger. I think the kids will be a lot better. I mean, I say that, saying that that once all the ex-Southside is out and gone, I think it'll just, the city will embrace Muncie Central a lot better, and I think the kids will perform and as they have now. I think the transition's not been bad at all, but I think that once the kids that did have ties to Southside are through, that
Mm-hmm.
the Central will be one great high school for Muncie.
So it's like the old adage, time heals.
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
No, I think that's a good point about the ties. Now, do you think the economic changes that Muncie has experienced, we'll say, the last 2, 3, 4 decades with the factories closing, people leaving, the economic downturn, do you think all of that made consolidation necessary?
I think that had a big role in it, yes. Due to the numbers going down. I think at the time of transition, I think actually Southside had more kids than Central.
Wow. Okay.
If I'm not mistaken. Don't quote me on that, but just from rumors, I think there was. But yes, with you had Chevy and Warner Gear and all these big factories closing, and the automotive, like I said, the recession. I think that's definitely played a role with the number of kids and financially trying to support, both high schools, and I think that played a major role in the consolidation.
Do you think there's anything the city of Muncie can do to get it to the point where 2 high schools would be necessary again?
I honestly can't think of anything that they could do to have 2 high schools again. I don't think it will happen unless the population or the growth, something big comes back into Muncie. Some kind of business that brings more people back in. That would acquire another high school just to disperse some of the kids, but I think that the way it is now is the way it's going to be.
Yeah, population is a big thing. What advice would you give to children growing up in Muncie today who are living in this city as it is now and in the school system as it is now?
If I had to give out any advice, it would be to just always study hard, be truthful, listen, attend class, don't miss class, get involved, stay involved, get yourself into the athletic program, get yourself into the band program. Just take advantages of the education that's presented to you, and don't just don't let yourself have time to get involved into the negative stuff. Always stay positive and be truthful.
Now, do you see, because you said there might be less opportunities athletically with a combined school. What about the academic opportunities?
And that's true. I think the bigger class sizes, and I meant to touch on that, and it kind of slipped my mind. But, the kids that maybe don't learn, that need a little bit extra attention, they might not have that in a larger classroom setting, the attention that they need. But I think that being said, I think Central has a lot of resources to help maybe some of those kids, but you have to learn to reach out. If you're not getting it, I think you have to learn to not be afraid to ask for help, and I think the help will be provided if needed. But I think the larger classroom sizes will definitely take away some of the academics that maybe the smaller rooms, because everybody doesn't learn the same.
That's true. Did it ever cross your mind when you heard that consolidation was reality to not have your daughter go to Central?
Yes, it did. It did cross our minds, and we asked her about it, and she stated that she wanted to go to Central. But I would be lying if I said it didn't cross our minds to not let her go. But we both graduated from Central, so we was kind of hoping that it was her decision. We was kind of hoping that she would want to go, and which she did. And speaking of that, she had the opportunity to choose either a Southside diploma or a Central diploma, and she went with the Central. She's like, Dad, I'm graduating from Central. So.
Wow, that's interesting. Yeah. Did she let you guys in on why she wanted to go to Central rather than a county school?
I think she's one for a challenge. I think she was pretty excited about the challenge to see how she would fit in and see how she would do, athletically and academically. And she did. I state this not boastfully at all, but at Southside she was in the top 5. Number 5, number 6. Now she's in the top 10, 11. So
she stayed right up there.
Yeah, she stayed up there, but not where she was in a smaller school. But
there's more people too, more students too.
Yeah. So she's excelled well. I'm really, really, really proud of her.
Now, I've asked you all my formal questions, but I wanted to give you the chance to add anything that you'd like to at the end of the interview. Maybe that we haven't covered or you wanted to touch on again.
I hope I've not offended anyone. I hope that I've answered the question the best I can. Like I said, I'm not knowledgeable about all the situations. Just is all based on just rumors I've heard and my opinions and what I've seen happen through my kids. So I think that's it.
Done a fine job, James.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.